Everyone, I'm Melanie Brown and welcome to Mel's Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious beef pot roast. So come along. Okay everyone, so what I've got here are the vegetables that I'm going to prep. They're going to be our aromatics for our roast. So I'm going to go ahead and get them cut up. What I have some celery, some yellow onions, and I have some baby carrots. These baby carrots, you could actually put them in there whole if you want, but I'm going to cut them down a little bit smaller just because that's my preference, okay? So let me tilt you down here so you can take a look and see what we're doing. All right, I think you should have a better view now. I'm going to go ahead and cut the ends off of this celery. Put that aside. And this one's a little wonky, but it's okay. It still tastes the same. And I'm going to cut these on like a bias. I'm going to give them a nice bias cut. Really, the only purpose for this is it just makes it look prettier. So you're really just cutting the celery on an angle. And so now I'm up here to the top of this celery, and I kind of feel like I need to mention something here. So many a times you see people throw that part of the celery away. I'm not throwing that part of the celery away. And the reason I'm not is because this entire thing is edible. You can eat everything from the leaves all the way down to the end. Of course, you don't want the root, but I'm going to go ahead and chop it up. And, you know, the celery leaves, they have just as much flavor as the rest of the celery, the stalk. The only difference is the texture. And what I do with those leaves is I usually chop them up, and I use them basically like I would an herb. It's just like adding fresh herbs to a dish, and it's additional flavor. So I've got that celery all chopped up. This is the top, and I purposely found some that had these leaves so I could show you what I do. So I kind of stack them together the best I can. Give it a little roll, almost like I'm going to do a chiffonade. Chiffonade is like when you roll herbs up really tightly and you do just a thin little slice. You slice it very finely. That's basically what we're doing here. Oftentimes people do that with herbs like basil because they're a big leafed herb. Just be careful to keep those fingers out of the way. And then I'm just going to chop over it. And then I'm going to put that right over here. And it's going to go right in my beef pot roast along with everything else. So I've got some carrots here, the baby carrots, as I told you. I'm just going to cut them a little bit smaller. Again, I'm doing them on a bias as well. And that's just because I don't want them, I just don't want a great big carrot. And this just happened to be what I had. It's what I had on hand. You know, in my family growing up, we didn't always have a lot. And one thing we always did was make do with what we had. My mom and dad, even my stepmother, you know, after my mom and dad were divorced, my dad eventually remarried, and, you know, they were always very frugal, and they made the best of what we had, you know. So we didn't have whole carrots. We just used the baby carrots. It's fine. So I'm basically just putting these carrots and this celery and onions in here to kind of just flavor the beef. My kids are pretty picky eaters, so they're not going to eat these vegetables, unfortunately. They will eat raw vegetables. They'll eat pretty much all of these things raw, but they just don't like cooked vegetables. So the only one will be eating them will be me and my husband. So I've got just one more carrot here to do, and then I'll show you how we do these onions. All right, so on to the onions. I'm going to push this to the side, and see the onion, I'm going to cut the top and the bottom off of this onion. And then I'm going to turn it over so that it's more stable and you have that flat bottom, or that flat part on the bottom of your board. that just keeps the onion from rolling around on you when you're trying to cut, and it's just a safer thing to do. So I'm going to hold it like this, keeping my fingers out of the way, and cut it down the middle. When I do that, I can just peel this skin right off. And all I'm going to do is kind of give this, I'm going to just chop it into a couple chunky pieces. I don't want it real small. Probably cut it about 3 pieces on each half. So see how I cut that, but I'm holding it together. This is something you can do. It'll save you time when you're chopping. Then you cut both pieces at the same time. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can very easily do one at a time, but it really is a game changer. I think I need to sharpen my knife. Seems like it's getting a little dull. All right. Put that down. To the skin. And we're going to do these ones the same way. And there we have our vegetables. Okay, so I really don't have a good camera angle to show you what I'm going to do with the beef over here at the sink. But what I'm doing, I'm just cutting out of the package. I'm going to drain off all of that excess, blood and liquid that's in the package. I'm going to pat that beef dry with some paper towels because that's an important thing to do in order to get a good sear on it, which is something I'll show you here in a bit. I'm also going to generously season it with salt and pepper before I take it over here to the stove and show you how to sear it. Okay, so here we are over here at the stove, and I've got some olive oil. I'm going to go ahead and just get a little bit of that in the bottom of the pan, not a lot. And I've got my heat on here. I'm going to turn it back on. I actually had it heating and it got a little too warm. So I'm going to get it back on like a medium heat. It's feeling pretty hot still. So I'm going to go ahead and just give it a minute or so. I want to get that nice and hot. Spread that oil around there too to make sure it's pan's coated real well. And then I want to take our meat and get it down in there. Hear that sizzle? That's because it's good and hot. That's an important thing. You want to hear it. You want it to be nice and hot. So I'm going to get rid of this plate. So what I'm going to do is let that sear until it gets a nice golden brown on the underside. And then I'm going to flip it and do the same with the next side. So one thing's important is you don't want to keep moving it around. Just leave it alone. Let it sit there for a little bit. If you move it around too much, then it really doesn't get a chance to really brown and get that nice crusty golden color that you want on the underside. So just be patient. It'll get there. Okay, so it's been about 2 or 3 minutes. It doesn't really take long, and this is getting pretty brown. You can see that nice golden color. That's what you're looking for. So I'm going to flip this now and let it go a little bit longer on the other side until it gets like that. So this beef that we're cooking here today, this is farm-raised beef. This is locally raised. A co-worker of mine, actually one of my employees, and I consider her a good friend, Ruth Cook Murray, and her family raised cattle. And so that's where this beef came from. So it's been pasture fed, and it's going to be really good. Okay, I've shut the heat off. I hope you all can see that nice golden color on this. Next thing I'm going to do is add those aromatics to this, those veggies that we had chopped. I'm going to put them in the pan and then into the oven it'll go. Okay, I moved this over here to the back burner, hoping you all can see it a little bit better. So here are all our veggies. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put them right in there. I'm going to, right on top of that meat. Everything that was on our board's going in. I'm also going to add to it just I don't know, probably a heaping spoonful of some minced garlic. Yeah, probably. That's probably, I would guess, a tablespoon or so. I don't want to go too strong on the garlic. And then just a small amount of water. And I don't want a lot of water, but I just want to put a little bit in the bottom just to kind of let the veggies start to steam and keep that meat from sticking in there. It'll also help keep the beef moist. And now that we got all our veggies in here, I'm just going to kind of spread them around a little bit and kind of mix them up so that we have some on all sides of the beef. There we go. It looks pretty good. And then we're going to put our top on it, and it's going to go right here in the oven. So I know you all can't see this because, well, I just don't have the right camera angle for you. But I'm going to put it right here in my oven. It's baking at 350 degrees. And this is going to take a while. So this is something you don't want to cook when you're in a hurry. You see the oven's at 350 degrees, and we'll be back in a bit to check on it. But it's probably going to take about an hour and a half to 2 hours maybe. That's my rough guess. I'll see you here in a little bit, and we'll take a peek. Okay, folks, so I let this meat roast in the oven for probably close to 3 hours. Continued to add liquid to the pan, just a small amount as needed to keep it from going dry. And this is our finished product. Look at all that goodness. Look at the juice. It's moist, juicy. All of our vegetables are rendered down. Yum.